big story, of course, today is not only PJ Tucker's love of dogs, but it's the fact that Oklahoma and Texas might be destroying college football as we know it. Talk about a shift in the balance of power. The idea that Texas and Oklahoma might leave the Big 12 and go be a part of the SEC. I think it's going to change things in college football forever. You know, I'm like Rich. I went to the University of Michigan. I know about big boy football. I love my Saturdays in Ann Arbor. As a kid from New York City, I came out to Ann Arbor thinking, well, what is this town? What is this small, tiny place? And you go to the biggest football stadium in America on a Saturday versus Bowling Green, and there's 110,000 plus in there. It's the greatest.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's so much to celebrate about college football. There's so much that's wrong with college football, and we all know that. I don't know if Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12, however, solves those problems with college football. I don't want to just see the big schools compete against each other. As someone who lost to Appalachian State, I appreciate those moments and those opportunities. First of all, we forget that these student athletes are just that. They're students and they're kids. And so when they show up in September, they're not a well-oiled football machine. They're not competing at the highest level right out of the gate. I think it's important for programs to have some of those tune-up games as they head into conference play. And I don't know about you guys, maybe it's just because we can't knock off Ohio State, but I'm not as always consumed by the conversation in college football around who the national champion is. I think just the tradition of playing your conference rivals each and every year is what makes college football special. I remember seeing Drew Brees play at Purdue. Yep. I remember seeing Antoine Randall L play in college. You know, I had a few years at John Navarre, so it's not like Michigan was lighting it up when I was there. But I always loved those days when you played Michigan State and you had friends come down from East Lansing, or you had your traditional rivals. You went up to Madison and played Wisconsin each year. I don't know how that's going to change if we just shake it all up and have the North, South, East, and West and put 40 big schools together and have them pick out of a hat who they play each year. You want to have those traditional games, those rivalries. It's how friends and family connect through different parts of the country. They come together. And I'm excited about what's going to happen next in college football. I just don't understand how Texas and Oklahoma, essentially giving the Big 12 a Heisman pose, is going to fix any of the problems with an already broken system.
Yeah, it's a really interesting scenario that's going to take place here in college football over the next few years. Like, these guys have TV deals that run through, I think, 2025. It's not like they're going to jump to the SEC like this fall or next year even. These teams make schedules 10 years down the line. I wonder if it's just as simple as breaking the country up into 4 sections.
Well, that's good. We need more division in this country. I think we should really divide the country.
I just in terms of like
unity.
Like conferences, like the NBA. You have like the whole West, which you can throw Pac-12, Mountain West, all those into one, and the SEC obviously becomes one. The Midwest becomes one, and then then the kind of the East, which is the rest of the Northeast, and just have pick 8 teams from each team, the best 8 teams, and let's have a 32-team tournament. Let's go. Like, I don't know why it isn't that simple. Money is always the answer there, but it's a big problem. And the Big 12 will be non-existent now if these 2 programs leave, and then the SEC just becomes the national champion every year is just the best team from the SEC maybe, and then Ohio State. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's the big question I had this morning around this story, and we're going to have Andy Staples coming on a little bit later to hopefully provide us some answers to this question. But what are we doing? What is the point of this? It is minor league football at this point. It is the biggest moneymaker for these schools at a time when colleges are hurting for finances. It's interesting to me. The college football coach is the highest paid state employee in pretty much every state. Yep. It speaks to, like you said, the issue here really is around money and how to allocate it best or how to make more of it. I love college football. I get as into Saturdays as I do on Sunday. And, I understand that it has to change, and I understand that there's problems to the system. I am looking forward, though, to those traditional conference matchups. And regardless of who's in power at the moment, let's not forget, like, Alabama wasn't always the best thing in college football. We're just so used to that right now. There's a long time
they were
just like another program.
Yeah, the
and
90s,
worse
they were
than
awful.
That. Yeah, they're terrible. You know, and Nebraska was on top of the college football conversation, those Tom Osborne teams. But now they're in the Big Ten now, but they haven't been a real force in the Big Ten since their arrival in that conference. So I understand that the powers change and the rivalries change, but you want to have those traditional games. I want, as Michigan, I want to have Penn State on the schedule. I want to have Wisconsin on the schedule. And I hope we don't lose any of that if we just separate the country into 4 quadrants.
Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.